Sometimes you really connect with a band, and then you kind of start to think, okay, this is the band. These are my people. I'm ready to go. And then over time, you look back a few years later and you're like, what happened? There was so much hope and so much promise. And so these are bands that for me meant a lot to me at the time. And it really, in a lot of cases, like I still like these bands. It just, they didn't quite keep it going. They didn't quite keep the momentum going. And that's what we're talking about. The bands that, the bands that were kind of a disappointment on a personal level.
I don't know if my taste changed or the band didn't meet my expectations. A lot of times I feel like, oh, I'm kind of into this right now. And then I just totally, look back 5 years later and like, why was I ever into that? And so
Right.
did the band change or did I change? Anywho, here's my three. And disclaimer for number three, I think I put this band on my list just because I want to talk about them. Hint, hint. Here's we're going to talk about this band coming up soon. I can't wait to talk about them. It's a band very few people have heard of. Harvey Danger.
Mm.
So Harvey Danger, if you don't know Harvey Danger, you would definitely recognize their one hit. They're kind of the poster child for one hit wonders. They had a song in the late 90s that if it came on right now, you'd be like, oh yeah, I definitely know that song. And so here's my thing with Harvey Danger. Harvey Danger, your first two albums were amazing. I d- I'm gonna just let you know, I didn't know till today that you had a third and fourth album. I learned that an hour ago.
I,
And so what happened? Your first two albums were raw, in your face, cutting edge, couldn't stop listening to them, and then you just fell off the planet. So I don't know what happened, but that makes me sad, and so you're number 3.
Yeah, man. Where Have All the Merrymakers Gone? Such a classic album. Very straightforward album. But man, lyrically, that album's so funny. It's so much fun and just it's so much energy in that album. I loved it too. And it was watch out for these guys. So this is painful for me. And a lot of people watching this may not like this answer, but my number 3 are the lads from Manchester, Oasis. I mean, that first of all, I don't think I heard the first album. Definitely, maybe until I had already heard "What's a Story, Morning Glory." Just in the U.S. at that time, I don't know where we lived. We weren't exposed to that album that much until the second album came out, and it was like, wow, okay, these guys are they. I mean, they had a lot of bravado. Greatest rock and roll band, all this stuff they would say about themselves, and even despite that, you would listen to them and be like, wow, they are really good. This is really great stuff. And went back and found the first album. And in many ways, I think it's an even stronger album. Then, Be Here Now comes out. And I feel like, do you know what I mean? Is still like a classic anthem song. Still love that song. But I don't think I would be as harsh on that album as critics were at the time. It was, people really went at it. Noel has some really great criticisms of that album on his own, where they were just like on a lot of cocaine and just turning things up as loud as they would go, and just excessive, guitar 3 or 4 minute guitar solos and just letting it all out, and it just sounded like crazy noise. I mean, even their assessment of it is harsher than mine. But really, like if you listen to the follow up stuff, I don't feel like they ever captured the original magic that they had with those first two albums. They did have an album called Don't Believe the Truth that I think is probably the high water mark after you get past those albums. I think there are actually a lot of really good songs on that album, and it's not bad. But just like Sick Boy says in Train Spotting, even though it's all right, that it's just shite.
And in your heart, you kind of know that although it sounds all right, it's actually just Shite.
They had this magic about them. Even some of Noel's like later solo stuff and with the High Flying Birds, there's some really good stuff in there. But it's just, man. And when you tout yourself, by the way, they're having a big moment right now with their reunion tour. It's just making a lot of news, and good for them. I'm glad it's happening. I'm glad people, if they came close by, if they rolled through Nashville, I'd go see them. They were a really important band to me, but just never could quite recapture the magic. So that's number 3 for me.
What's the Story Morning Glory was everywhere. It
Yes.
was one of those albums that 14-year-old girls that didn't listen to rock music knew every word to those songs because they were on the radio all the time, and it was an achievement. They almost fell victim to their own success because that was just so monstrous. It was like,
Yeah.
how do you replicate this, or do something? But I totally agree. It was like that album hit, it was like, bam, I'm totally into this. And it was like not too long after that, it's like, I don't care about them anymore. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. That's a good, strong number 3 there. My number 2 is Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam,
Mhm.
what happened? You used to be good. You used to be good. And then
When did
you
it fall
stopped
off the
being
tracks for
good.
you? When
Um,
when did it go wrong? Do you have an album where you're like, that's my last favorite Pearl Jam album?
I think it would be No Code. I loved their first like 4 albums and then just stopped listening to them. So sorry, Pearl Jam and all your crazy fans. That's my number 2.
I've seen them live. We might have gone to 1 or 2 of those shows together. I saw them a couple times. A great live band. I think that they have a lot of integrity. I have a lot of respect for that aspect of them, but I cannot disagree with what you're saying. I also think that they had a great run of albums there. And then after that, I just wasn't following that closely. I feel like Yield was kind of mixed results for me. Like I can listen to Do the Evolution. Absolutely love that song.
I remember
Mm,
buying Binaural in 2000, but just it didn't
no.
hit.
Yeah.
I remember Yield, but yeah, I would say No Code was the last one where I'm like, I love this. 10 awesome, Verses awesome, Vitology awesome, and No Code awesome. And then I just stopped. I was no longer interested.
It's a really good run. Okay, number 2 for me, from New York City, The Strokes. The Strokes,
Ooh.
Is This It? Was just like, man, that album is one of the greatest debut albums of all time. There was such hope that this band, I mean, at this point, rock had gone through a pretty bleak stretch where the sort of new metal screaming bands with gelled spiky hair were taking over, and it was like, this is really not such a good time anymore. Things have turned on us, and out come the Strokes, which felt like this revival of what had been going on before in the 70s, and especially in that New York scene. It just felt reminiscent of all that, and you're like, these are the new saviors, and I love them. And a shout out to a friend of ours, mutual friend of ours, Gage, who actually at a party, I remember we were at one time, and that Room on Fire, their follow up to Is This It, had come out, and he was like, Strokes are over the hill. And I took offense to it. I was like, wait a minute, it's not that bad of an album. That's a pretty harsh critique of a band that just came out with their second album. As time has passed, I can't really disagree that much with Gage anymore. It's none of the albums are bad. There's good stuff, and this is true for all these bands and all everything that we're talking about here. It's like there are points in subsequent albums and releases where like that's solid, that's okay, but it just never could get back. And I mean, granted, that is a high bar. They were like the messiahs of rock music, and this album was everywhere. It appealed to so many different people. So it's like, again, victim of your own success. And Joe and Casablancas did some really interesting stuff. Albert Hammond ended up releasing some stuff that I also found pretty interesting too. But just as a band, the Strokes never really ascended to where I thought they could go. And that's a shame because, man, they were a really meaningful band, and that was a really meaningful album to me. Okay, number 1 on your list. Let's go. Who is who's the biggest disappointment of them all?
This is gonna go over well. Okay. Number one, biggest disappointment. Foo Fighters. Foo
Mm.
Fighters, what happened? You
Foo
you got over
Fighters.
the hill too. You got old and went over the hill too. You
Yeah.
were awesome. You were so awesome. And then something happened. I don't know what happened, but I don't know. You grew one direction, and I grew another direction, and then we just didn't see each other anymore. So there you go. Foo Fighters, number one biggest disappointment.
Dude, I love that you added this on the list because they didn't make my list, but they totally could have. And it's funny when I was debating about like do Foo Fighters go on my list, part of me, this is pretty harsh, but like I started to wonder how good they were in the first place, which was like I did. I started to question like, were they good or did I just like that? That's how subpar I think their output has been over the past like 2 decades, where it's just like I'm listening to it and I'm like, this makes me doubt you, like your initial stuff that I absolutely loved because that debut album and then the color and the shape. Like we listened to those things like crazy, and I loved those albums, and I was also very excited for what Dave Grohl would do over the years. And then it just got worse and worse. And I remember just a few months ago, I was like, because I at this point, I just straight up, I'm like, Foo Fighters, like I just have like a chip on my shoulder about them. And a few months ago, I was even like, I'm being really harsh to these guys. I'm gonna go and listen to some. I'm gonna just throw on some like later Foo Fighters videos and see what it looks like. Not pretty. Not pretty. It's really bad. And then I start to wonder, I'm like, was it always bad? And I just didn't have great taste when I listened to them. Like, I don't know the answer to that, but I love that you have them on the list. And
I feel
I
like
totally
their
agree.
first three albums are solid. Definitely the first two, but the first
Yeah.
and that third, I think that third one, I would even stretch it as I think there was one that came out in like '06 or '07. I could even
The
you
one with
could
the
make
heart
an
on it.
argument. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could even listen to an argument about that one, but I don't know, man. What dude, what's your number one?
Number one for me. This one hurts because this band meant so much to me. When Weezer came on the scene, it was at a time when I was very young and I was seeing
Yes.
all these dudes with like Doc Martens on and hair down to here, and they looked scary and it's looked like intimidating. And even though I liked some of their music, I didn't see myself in them. You know what I mean? And then Weezer comes along and they're just nerds. And I'm like, yes, it's like me. It's like, a little dork in South Central Kentucky in like 94, 95 doesn't look at Kurt Cobain and be like, that's my dude. That's me. But you can look at Rivers and be like, I can see myself in that. That Blue album I thought was just totally amazing, a masterpiece of an album. Pinkerton, I mean, wow, that album just blew me away too. It was such a meaningful album. It was darker and grittier, and I absolutely loved it. To this day, I love both of those albums, and it meant so much to me. They were like the poster children of like, yes, this is what I'm all about. And then they go away and they just like he goes to Harvard and his legs are different lengths and he has a surgery and it's like what he grows a beard and it's like what happened, what's going on? It's like, oh no, they're coming back now. They got rid of the clever bassist who has great harmonies, but they're coming back and you're like, okay, all right, cool. And then they come out with the Green album and you're ready and you're listening and like you hear Hash Pipe and you're like, yeah. Okay, we're good. And then, later you hear like Island in the Sun and you're like, cool. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're rolling. We're back. We're back. And then it keeps going. And then you hear Beverly Hills and you're like, what the fuck are we doing? What what went wrong? And then you start to listen to the Green album again and you're like, was that shit too? Like what happened, guys? It's so cynical. It's like the guy didn't, it's not like he was just like, this is how I feel now. It's like I need to make some money and I need to make a hit and I don't care how stupid it sounds. I'm gonna do it. Uh and then it just gets worse and worse and we're like, pork and beans, and I'm just like, it hurts. It hurts because it's a band that I loved, right? I loved this band. It hurts to this day. It's like I don't know. It's like a relationship you just don't get over, and I still walk around to this day. And sometimes I'll just wake up and be like, "Fucking Weezer." Uh, if you've seen a sketch on SNL that's like Leslie Jones and Matt Damon arguing over dinner about like basically having this argument where Matt Damon's like, their later stuff's way better, and then Leslie Jones gets mad and like breaks a glass, and it's like, I feel that I am Leslie Jones in that sketch, and it's only because I loved the band so much. I would not feel this opinionated about it if I didn't feel so strongly about it. And then they're out there covering Toto, and it's like, you're not even trying, man. Like, you're just, it doesn't even sound different. It's just Toto with river singing, and it's like, what are we doing, man? It's it's such a disappointment. I'm still upset about this.
Oh gosh, I feel
So
like
that's
this
number
was
one
an
on my list.
important exercise today, just to let you get some things off your chest.
This was all an excuse for me to talk about how I feel about Weezer, and I appreciate you for giving me the platform to do so. Very sorry for the shrapnel that hit Oasis and the Strokes, though I stand by those arguments. I loved your picks too. I also don't love going negative, but it's only, again, it's because I love them. This is like a family member that you loved and they just couldn't get it together, and you're like, why? You had so much going for you and you just blew it. So that's where I'm at. That's my three. And I feel like between the two of us, we covered a lot of ground. We really shred to pieces some really talented artists. So I'm
I
feeling
think
good. I don't know about you.
I think we lost some friends today. Maybe less Christmas cards coming this year, but
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
It's been great. If you enjoyed this and you want to hear more, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the podcast, whatever form you're listening to this on. Engage with us. Tell us what you think. Tell us why we're wrong. I'm sure there's some great, compelling arguments about why we are wrong. We want to hear them. Also, what bands let you down? We want to know that too. And buddy, it's been a pleasure, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great.